So, why are we here? Well, the main point today, we're going to take a look at the Simcoders Reality Expansion Pack. This is an add-on to enhance the default Cessna 172 that comes installed in X-Plane 11. Some of the traits are improved aerodynamics, handling model. You have maintenance that you can do or perform. You can track your flight time. There's sound enhancements, both in wind noise, vibration. I would encourage, if you're also doing this, to take a look at their head shake add-on they have. You'll see as we go through some of the startups and procedures, the flight, walk around, I'll point out some of the differences that I've noticed in addition to what they have. I've had it for about three to 4 months now. I've flown approximately 25 to 30 hours with it, and I really enjoy it. So hopefully it's something that if you're watching this video, you can look at and consider, because you probably love single engine GA flying anyway. And if so, at a cost of about $19 US, $20, I think it's definitely worth the bang for your buck. So what is the Reality Expansion Pack, and what is it bringing to the table? Well, after you install it, it goes in your default folder, or you make a copy of it. I don't remember right now. The instructions are contained within the document. As you can see over here to the left of the screen, we have a Neeboard pop-up, mass balance, walk around, tow, maintenance report, and automatic engine start. We'll take a look at these in a little more detail as we go. If we open up the Neeboard, you'll see we have normal operations, emergency procedures, and references. All this is great if you want to enhance that realism feeling while you're playing the game. We'll go back here to the normal operations. You get a engine start and a complete checklist. Also included is a mass and balance calculator. I have it here displayed in Imperial or American units, however you want to call it. If you click the change units, you can see it'll display in the metric system, so everybody can use it in a format that's comfortable for them. Up top you have load stations, baggage, front, rear rows. If you change the weight in here, you'll see the CG shift over here. So let's just take and change it here, for example. We'll put in 100 pounds there, and we'll see what it does over here. And you can see our CG shifts. So it does a good job of balancing that out. You can see you also have your takeoff and your landing over here. So it predicts based on fuel burn what your CG is going to be at each point. So let's click fill tanks here. So we've just put 27 gallons in each, and you see how it moves. We'll go ahead and drop that down to 10. And you can see again how it shifts. If you know what your flight time is, if it's 60 minutes, hour and 22 hours, whatever, you can go ahead and put that in here, and it'll move your landing CG. And again, you just want to make sure that's in that envelope. Your cruise fuel, as I mentioned earlier, I can't remember if it was in Cessna's POH or in X-Plane's documentation, but you figure around 8 gallons per hour. That's what I use to predict for my cruise fuel flow. You have your weights here, empty payload, fuel, etc. So this is a really neat utility if you want to add that extra touch of realism to your simulated flight. So next we've gone to the walk-around mode. You get a pre-flight, post-flight, and a lights check. Right now we're in the pre-flight walk-around. If we look through this, it'll tell us how to configure everything for the walk-around. It'll have us drop our flaps. If you click lights check, I'm not going to do that right now, but it'll basically throw the... I forgot you can't move that out of the way right here when you're in this. So I'm going to get out of that. I'm going to hide the yoke here. And we'll go back to walk around. If you flick lights check, toggle lights, it'll turn on your master caution and all your lights. As you walk around, you'll see each of the lights is functioning. The position lights are a little harder to tell during the day than at night. We'll go ahead and turn those off. I'll kind of touch quickly on the walk around. Won't go in great detail here. You can read it over on the screen, but you can run through here. We'll go ahead and turn the switch on, get the flaps down. That might be loud. I may have to adjust that. And then we'll just go to next. I'll turn the battery off. Sorry, we want to save that. And you run through different, making sure everything's closed, baggage doors, elevator surfaces. If we go here, we can click and hold. It'll move the control surfaces. Press and hold, it'll swing these around as well. It does the same for the ailerons. It has a state saver. So if you leave the tie down on at the end of a flight, it will be here as we see it right now. If you toggle it off or you complete a flight and you don't do the post-flight and toggle the tie downs won't be there, the chocks won't be there, the engine inlet covers won't be there. So it does a really neat job of leaving it in the exact same state that you left the aircraft. We'll toggle this back on and continue around. As the antenna inspection, click and hold the flaps. Again, this is just something kind of neat, adds a little bit more to the immersion. If we go back here, I have never seen the fuel not blue, but I would not be surprised if somehow that does contaminate over time. Here we have chocks, tire status. The tires, I believe, wear over time, or if you have hard landings. The oil, as we'll see, this aircraft I've actually flown around 20 hours, I believe, so it has consumed a little oil. And again, this just adds that extra little bit of immersion. If it's something you're willing to, or something that interests you to look into. We've now completed our walk around, so we'll go to the tow feature. They add a tow feature in here so you can simulate moving the aircraft around if you park it in or near a hangar. As you can see from the top of the screen, it says use the pitch and roll axis. So what I'm going to do is, if I press nose forward, it rolls backwards. And what you didn't see, I did go ahead and disable the chocks and the tie downs. Otherwise, this will not work. And I did also release the parking brake. So let's drag our aircraft a little bit further forward. And then we can use your aileron inputs. We'll steer it as well. Again, just an extra little feature if you want to simulate pulling or dragging your aircraft around. We'll go ahead and go back inside, reset parking brake here. So now we come to the maintenance report. If we click on this, I'll drag this over to the side. It gives you 4 pages of different information. You can see here this aircraft I have actually 10 hours and 32 minutes of flying time. I think it saves for the tail number. I have a Civil Air Patrol version, I think also with the from Cessnarox, and I've flown it a couple times, and I think it has 1.5 to 2 hours. But if we take a look at this, it gives us general information about the airplane, our compression, fluid levels, actually oil fluid quantity. If we take a look at that, that's down to 7 quarts now. If you'll remember from our walk around, we also saw that, and we saw a little bit of contamination making that oil darker. It starts lighter when the aircraft has 0 hours on it. We go down through spark plugs. It says here these are the default. I have not switched those out. The expansion pack does simulate fouling. So if you have the aircraft at low engine RPM and your mixture is too rich, you'll get a warning up top just like we saw for the parking brakes or chocks or how to use the tow bar. And it'll say spark plug fouling, increase engine RPM, or reduce mixture, something like that, whichever applies. So it does simulate that. I haven't had it in that state long enough to notice if the engine runs rougher or not. But judging by the quality of everything else and the level of detail they've put into it, it wouldn't be surprising if that does affect you operationally. We'll flip over here to page 2. We're out here in Phoenix, Goodyear, Arizona, where it doesn't get cold too often. But on this page here, you can see we have a preheater. If we actually go outside and add this, you can see the cylinder head temp right now is 47. It says you're good to go. We have a fast preheat available. See if I can take a look back outside here. You can see they add that little feature in there, so you get the heater here with the hose running up into the inlets. Pretty nice little touch. If we go back inside here, we can see that we've already gained 1 degree. Let's go ahead and click the fast and see what happens. Oh, okay, it looks like it's a shortcut. Gave us 83. We'll go ahead and stop that for now. We'll continue on to page 3. Here you can actually, the battery will discharge over time, and I believe it does it real system time. So if you don't fly the airplane for a week, it'll replicate that discharge rate over a week. Whereas if you fly the aircraft and you come back later that day or the next day, you'll see actually that the current charge will decrease more or less based on the time away. Generally, when I'm done flying, I disconnect the battery. As you can see now, it is connected. Has the avionics here. And finally, we'll go to the last page. This particular page shows that all of our landing gear, tires, braking systems are okay. I can tell you from firsthand experience, I was over at a friend's house. He has rudder pedals, which I don't use in my configuration over here, so I was unaccustomed to them. Anyway, I bend his Cessna 172, broke the prop, and did engine damage and everything else. I didn't blow the tires on that one, which was amazing. That probably should have happened, but it indicated over here it's he had like 45 minutes or an hour. I think that was the first time we had flown the expansion pack over at his house, and he needed a new engine when I was done. So keep me out of the real one with rudder pedals, I suppose. Anyway, that sums up our maintenance report there, which is a neat feature, and it does change from startup to shutdown. So as soon as you fire up the engine, the Hobbs meter's ticking, and your time will change here on the engine status. Finally, we have the automatic engine start sequence. I have not used this yet, but I believe it starts sequentially with the checklist that you have. So if you're fairly new but you're wanting to take that extra step, learn that extra little bit of procedurally how to start the aircraft, I believe it does that. Maybe that'll be something I can do on here, experiment with, and show for your benefit as well as mine. In the next video, we'll go ahead and do the startup and perhaps a brief flight around the pattern just to check it out, run through the checklists, go from cold and dark all the way through a flight and shutdown. So again, thank you for joining me today, and remember to plan the flight and fly the plan.